Oh my God, got him. Big one. Big one, stay on there. Stay on there. Yeah, that's a big one on the Vatalion 190. Woo! Oh, he smoked it. Yeah, that was awesome. I pitched it in that shallow pocket. Oh, that's a good one. Pitched it in that shallow pocket. I let it hit the surface. Twitch, twitch. Whoa, he came out of that tree and smoked it. Man, that's the slow float version, and I'm fishing 1.5 to 2 feet of water, shallow grass. I know there's bluegill in the area this morning. It was real cloudy and rainy. The sun came out, I started seeing bluegill, and I pitched that Vatalion slow float 190 millimeters of perfect sunfish, and that big one came out and smoked it. Man, that was fun. Oh man, that was one of those vicious swim bait bites I dream of on tour. Bye-bye. Oh, that's awesome when they crush a glide bait like that. Over the last hour, the sun has really popped out, and you start to see, I don't care what lake you're on, you start to see the sunfish and the bluegill start to rise up off the weed line and come shallow and eat bugs and things like that. So I grabbed the Vatalion 190 here, and it matches the profile perfectly. You know, one of the biggest things is when you see those bluegill shallow in those sun pockets and around these vegetation, is you want to be real accurate with your casting. Although this is a 4 3/4 ounce chunk of meat, this thing's over 7 inches long, you still have to be real accurate with it in your casting. This bait's got to look real natural to get these fish to explode on it in shallow water. So setup, Destroyer Mark 48 swim bait rod. It's a 7'8" rod with a fairly long butt section to handle almost 5 ounces of plastic there, of hard plastic. So you got to be real accurate with your casting. As you wind and load that rod up, fire the bait to the shallow water, and just before it hits the water, go ahead and put your thumb on the spool and almost place it in the water there. There's a fish, got him, he ate it. Oh, he came off. Oh, he came off. Oh, that was a big one. That was a big one right there, yikes. It was right there on the surface and he came up and ate it. Oh, that was a giant fish. Wow. Like I was saying, oh, that was a giant. It just came up and sucked him off the surface. Like I was saying, you gotta be real accurate and real smooth with your cast. So load up that Mark 48, let it hit the surface there, and kind of twitch it and slow wind it back to the boat here. It's got that nice little shimmy. There's 2 ways to retrieve this Vatalion 190. One is to just cast it out there and slow retrieve back to the boat. And that's kind of your traditional glide bait, where it'll kind of glide S-turn through the water. In my opinion, the best retrieve for this Vatalion 190 is a twitch, pause, and make that thing look like a bluegill. With the slow float action here, I'm gonna cast it out there, slowly floats up, twitch, it jerks left, it jerks right, and it's gonna slowly float up just like a bluegill would when it's eating a bug off the surface. I mean, we're in a shallow grassy area. There's some dogwoods floating on the water surface here. There's those cotton seeds floating on the surface. And whenever you have that scenario, there's a lot of bluegill around and they're coming up towards the surface looking for bugs to feed. I'm just pitching this thing back here and I'm letting it come to the surface and just pop, pop, pop. And it looks like a bluegill right on the surface, I'm just twitching it. It's a twitch glider. There's no other swim bait or glide bait that can imitate that action. That when I cast out there underneath these overhanging trees, when I twitch the bait, I twitch it upwards. The angle of the nose of the Vatalion kind of forces it downwards. So when I jerk it, it kind of digs down in there, and I'm only fishing 1.5 to 2 feet of water with this slow floating model. So when I pitch it out there, I feel like when I twitch it upwards, it kind of shoots it up and it shimmies. So play with the retrieve a little bit, but for this real shallow water and this slow float model, twitching it upwards really puts a kick in it in that shallow water. Another thing to consider when throwing this twitch glider is shade lines. you know, big bass use shade lines, especially around bluegill, as concealment. So you'll see a lot of big bass kind of when they're still shallow in the post-spawn phase, just cruising around shade lines. So that's another thing to look for while throwing the Vatalion 190.